Stop! Don't skip to the tier list directly. I know you wanna know who are the best heroes of Mobile Legends and how good your mains are currently performing. The list alone is not telling you the whole story though. You also need to know why certain heroes are performing better than others, which you will know after you finish this whole video. We will release a new tier list after every new patch, so make sure to comment about which hero I should talk in detail the next time. I also like to mention that this tier list was created together with Nacht, the starting XP laner from the North American-based squad 𝐷𝐸𝐿, so there's some true knowledge behind it. First, we talk quickly about how this tier list is built up. Each hero has a color that indicates the hero's difficulty. Easy heroes you basically mastered after around 10 matches already, while extreme heroes need hundreds of matches to fully master them. The star indicates that you should either ban or pick this hero. As second pick team, you should always ban this hero. And we have a total of 6 tiers with explanations attached. Now, let's begin with the XP lane. First, I show you the list so you can have a detailed look at it, before we talk about what a good XP laner needs to be good. The XP laner is currently one of the most crucial roles in the game, making it essential to have a solid foundation in this role, as many meta heroes are based on it. A strong XP laner can outclass the enemy's XP laner whether through lane cutting, the general laning phase power in a 1v1, rotation potential, taking jungle farm to invade the enemy's jungle, where sustainability to dive into the enemy's backline, and survivability to retreat again are crucial factors that can make or break an XP laner. Starting with the S tier heroes, we have 𝐼𝐺, 𝐿, Mincita, and 𝐷𝐿. 𝐼𝐺 has been a dominant force in the XP lane since his release, particularly after the introduction of tank 𝐼𝐺. His second skill healing scales with his max HP, which turned him into a high mobility hero who can heal a crap ton of HP while dishing out an extreme amount of damage. Generally, if you see a hero who has high mobility, high sustainability, and high damage, you know for sure that this hero is OP. 𝐾𝐤 have been a menace in the Land of Dawn since her little revamp. Her high mobility with 4 dashes, CC immunity, and extreme burst damage is one of the most scary things you can meet on the battlefield. Pairing her with Vengeance makes even the strongest marksman struggle against this dashing rat. And I made a counter guide about her, by the way. Mincita's revamp has turned this troll pig into the king he always was supposed to be. His buffed ultimate can negate all mobility abilities, which counters almost every meta hero, but also his passive stun that triggers from all his skills makes him really strong. 𝐷𝐿 the Boogerman also remains a potent force in both the laning phase and team fights. Only a few XP laners can withstand his level 1 performance, where he can spam his first skill without any cooldown, and his sustain allows him to invade the jungle with minimal consequences. Now, I can already see many comments, "Why is Hero X not an S tier hero? Blah, blah, blah." And the most comments I will probably receive about 𝐷𝐻𝑖roth, who is only a B tier hero. So I take him as an example to explain to you why certain heroes are not an S tier hero. We have to remember what makes a strong XP laner strong. 𝐾𝐤 can rotate fast AF, can cut lanes and have a super high mobility, so she can disrupt the enemy's jungle or even the other lanes. 𝐼𝐺 has high sustain and a heavy teamfight presence, and is really strong in the laning phase. The same goes for Mincita and 𝐷𝐿 for the same reasons listed above. 𝐷𝐻iroth, on the other hand, is one of the best laners of the game, but his teamfight presence is not as potent as the other XP laners. He is very weak against CC effects and also against burst damage if you didn't build enough defensive items for him. We could also compare him to an A tier hero, which is our big daddy dragon 𝐈𝐵. He has one of the best zoning abilities in the game, is extremely strong in team fights, and also pretty decent in the laning phase with his great sustain abilities. The only sustain 𝐷𝐻iroth has is his passive, and the tank items he needs to build to cover his weaknesses. Basically, the more weaknesses a hero has, the lower they are ranked on the tier list. I also want to go through the F tiers. 𝐷𝐿, 𝐼𝐿, and 𝐼𝐺 are extremely weak and need too long to scale. They will always lose the lane if the enemies knows how to pressure them. 𝐼𝐵 don't have enough CC and sustainability to survive the enemies he's facing on the lane, and he is also prone to CC abilities. 𝐵𝑎𝑟𝑎𝑡 is just way too slow to rotate and has a weak laning phase, which also goes for 𝐾𝐤𝐬𝐼𝐵, who has one of the worst ults in history. It is so slow that I can quickly make myself another coffee before I sidestep his ult gold since he's still flying. Now we're going to talk about the gold lane. Firstly, we have a look at the list again, before we talk about what makes a good gold laner good and cover some interesting heroes in detail. When it comes to the gold lane, you want to have a hero that deals a nice amount of damage while being able to stay safe most of the time on their own. You don't want to have a hero that needs a babysitter to farm. Survivability is also a plus when it comes to this role. When it comes to the placements, and I swear it's not because I'm biased about my lovely tiger lady, 1-1 is alone in the S tier. And before you ask why she's not accompanied by Melissa or Moskov, take a look at these 3 screenshots I took from MLBB.Ninja, which is a great website that creates automatic tier lists based on stats. Just compare the ban rate in the pro scene from these 3 heroes, and you have the answer why 1-1 is alone in the S tier. She is widely feared for her ability to wipe out an entire enemy team with just 1 ultimate. Apart from that, she also has super high mobility and a free purify spell every few seconds, which earns her the spot in the light alone. Now, if we take a look at Melissa, why is she only an A tier hero? Melissa is a very good marksman, don't get me wrong here. She's the 5th most banned hero in the overall statistics, and it does make sense to me. Her damage is crazy, she has good mobility, and even a shield that protects her from all melee attacks. But the problem Melissa has is that she can get countered by many heroes, unlike 1-1. There are not many heroes who can actually counter 1-1. You have magic damage assassins like Gusion and Amon, dash stoppers like Khufra and Mincy, but that's really it. And even they suffer hard if 1-1 ever gets her ult. Melissa on the other hand has many hero counters that can beat her and bypass her shield. Heroes like Hayabusa can still kill her, and CC immune heroes like Lapu Lapu can even go inside of her shield when diving into her. Plus she don't have the ability to wipe out an entire enemy team while being invincible. All of this downgrades her to an A tier hero. Now for the newbies who don't understand why Mia, Layla and Hanabi are at the bottom of the list. Think about what I was saying at the beginning, what makes a strong gold laner strong. Layla and Hanabi have absolutely 0 survivability in the early game because of their lack of mobility. Hanabi may have CC immunity and have some CC on her own, but none of this matters when 4 people are trying to treat you like Tekashi at Planet Fitness. Mia's ultimate may help her to survive in a ganking situation, but this still does not solve the problem she has. She loses against any strong gold laner, which makes it impossible for her to scale to become useful. The only way to make these heroes work is when your allies support you, but do you really want to rely on random teammates? You'd have much better luck having BTK win against TUB. Next, we're going to talk about the mid lane. Here list me no blah blah the same again, me no English anymore, yo, just watch it, you know what the love. A good mid laner is usually a mage who can clear minions fast, so they can quickly rotate around the map to help in team fights. You also want to make sure that this mage is able to capitalize on the roamer set, since you should rotate and work together all the time. At the top of the list, you can see Xavier, Faramis and Valentina. Xavier being on the top of the list shouldn't really surprise anyone, as he scaled super fast in the entire game. Imagine a mage with good clearing speed, short skill cooldowns that let him spam them around like there's no tomorrow, decent mobility, a long immobilization effect, and a Layla laser on steroids, taking down half of your HP from across the map. This is enough to put him in the S tier, and why he's one of the scariest mages in the meta. Valentina is also extremely potent, as our favorite Granny has more level scaling than any hero in the game due to her passive. She's also able to copy any ult she wants to give her more damage, or to give the team another set. Plus it forces the enemy to avoid certain heroes with OP ultimates. Adding on to the fact that her kit gives her a good burst damage and a Terrify effect, it makes her a worthy S tier pick in this meta. Now some of you may ask, why is Faramis a pick or ban candidate, especially on the mid lane? Let me show you his entire kit quickly. The Deadman can walk through walls with his first skill, has more movement speed and most importantly a pull. Sometimes this pull paired with a flicker can even become a set in itself. This skill is perfect for rotation, which is something a good mid laner needs. His second skill is amazing for clearing waves, as the damage bounces to nearby enemies. Plus every screw main will scream whenever they see Faramis. And his ultimate is one of the biggest saving graces, where he can turn around the outcome of every gank. This leaves no questions why he is one of the most banned heroes in this meta. Now again, many inexperienced players may ask, why is Nana only a D tier hero? She's the second most popular hero in the overall statistics in the end. Well, Nana is a decent mage in very certain situations. And to be quite honest, there are many heroes who do the same job like her, just way better. She's an anti-dive burst mage who loves to poke. But for all three categories you can find better heroes. If you need an anti-dive hero, I'd rather pick Faramis, Valier or Loyi. If I need burst, I pick Kadita, Kagura or Vale. And if I need pokes, I pick Eve, Sicilian or Lilia. Molina can be annoying as an enemy, but it's a single target skill. Her passive is nice for beginners, as it allows them to survive the out of position mistakes. But again, there are just much better options out there. Would you rather have a Layla on steroids, who's sniping the enemies from across the map and deleting half of the HP multiple times per minute? Or would you like to have a hero who throws bunnies around that protects her allies from one enemy for 1 second? I love Nana, but she's a hero who can do many things, but nothing really well. And for the F tier mages, Gord is just too easy to kill as his ult is stationary and he has nothing that helps him to sustain any incoming damage. The only situation where he excels is when you're defending your base in a losing situation. 𝐷's clearing speed is also terrible and he needs way too long to scale to become useful, which means you're too dependent on your allies and solo queue. Any more questions? Eudora is too slow and she's too reliant on squishies being stupid enough to walk into bushes solo. Plus she's also very weak when being ambushed herself, as she has no escape skill whatsoever. The same goes for Aurora, and Selena has by far the worst clearing speed in the entire mage category, which is why she's much better as a roamer. And since we're already talking about roamers, la la la, here's the list now. Check it out before we talk about the heroes. That's really fun, yo yo. Let's be real here. The lower your rank is, the harder it is to be the roamer. While it can be really fun in Mythic and above, it's often a pain when you're stuck in epical glory, since none of your allies follow up any sets that you're making. Now let's talk about what makes a roamer strong. Good sustain as a tank, the ability to give vision to gain map control, and peeling is also a big thing for roamers. The term peeling means you try anything you can to protect your ADCs. For example, checking bushes, staying in front of them, using all abilities you can to protect your allies from diving enemies, etc. Now for the S tier roamers, we have Mincita again, Grok, and Lolita. Mincita, as I explained before, is great after his revamped, but on the roam position his peeling ability is what makes him so strong. Similar to Franco, he can use his spear to poke into bushes to see if anybody is there, and with his ult he can lock down any dashing heroes, which is a crucial ability in team fights. Grok as a roamer is extremely strong due to his high sustain and his early game aggressive playstyle. You can peel like there's no tomorrow, as nobody wants to get his stony fist into their face. His ult also provides a long ass stun, but the strongest asset from Grok is actually his wall. You can use his wall to stall minion waves, but also to displace buffs. In team fights you can block out enemies or block the escape routes, or you can even save your teammates in many situations. Why is stalling minion waves so important? Well, when you stall your waves like I do here, the minions will be positioned in your teammates' favor near their turret. The enemies now have to extend further to get their farm, and if your ally is an early game laner, they can even freeze the lane, which takes all the farm away from their enemies. Another question many people may ask is, why Estes is only a C tier hero? Estes is honestly a great hero, especially in the right team composition. In a 5-man team, he's one of the deadliest heroes, with some of the best kits in the game. But you must remember that this is a solo queue tier list. Coordination is basically non-existent here, and therefore it's very easy to counter him. Estes is extremely squishy, so burst heroes will always be able to either force him to use his ult, or he simply dies in misery. He also has absolutely zero set potential, so you can never really engage against their enemies properly. All of those weaknesses make him an okay hero in solo queue. For the F tiers, Basha has no set potential at all, so engaging with him is always going to be very awkward. Barret is just too much mana reliant and is so slow on rotation that it just hurts to watch. 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬's engagement is still awkward, as he basically needs Flicker to engage properly. It is also way too easy to interrupt his ult. And 𝐷𝐷𝐷 has, as mentioned, the most avoidable ult in existence. Now for the last part of our tier list, we have the jungle. Blop, blop, blop. Here's a list, have a look. Lop, lop, lop. The jungle role itself is pretty complicated, as there are many things a jungler needs to be able to do. Securing major objectives, neutral objectives, out-farming the enemy's jungler, and also help the team in ganks. The jungler has the highest pressure in the team, as they have the most responsibilities on the entire team. But they also have the power to change the outcome of every match. Now let's take a closer look at some heroes that can help you to deal with those responsibilities. In the S tier we have Fredrin, Lancelot, Martis, and Joy. Fredrin has been extremely dominant in the meta, even after the nerf. He still has high sustain, an extreme amount of CC, a good clearing speed, and some of the most disgusting burst damage I've ever seen from a tank in my entire life. This is what we call a Uno reverse card ult, as Fredrin's ult can legit change the entire tide of the team fight if he lands his ult correctly. Lancelot recently came back into the meta as Tanks-a-lot. You basically build him as a tank with Cursed Helmet and Guardian Helmet as his core items, which makes it easy for him to clear his jungle. Your mobility is insane, and paired with his immunity skills, you have the perfect kit for neutral objective fights. In the early game you can also pressure the squishy enemies, while you're a pain to deal with in the late game, since you're almost unkillable. In the end, he just checks all the boxes. Martis in ranked games is probably one of the most scariest enemies you can meet, especially if he tasted the first blood. He can be built as a tank, and with his wide variety of CC and CC immunity, he can secure objectives very easily, his clearing speed is great, and his ult is just terrifying once it's activated, as he just chases you with absolutely no mercy. Joy is usually better on the XP lane, but even in the jungle she's still a great option. There's a reason why she gets nerfed soon. Again, high mobility and CC immunity, but this time we're adding burst damage and high teamfight potency with some decent clearing speed. Pair her with Ice Retribution and you're gonna be folded like Rengoku. This one still hurts. Some question I know some of you will ask is, why are Barret's, Alice and Akai in the A tier? Again, we will have a look at their kits. Barret is one of the best heroes to play when going against a ton of burst heroes. He has one of the best sustain abilities in the game, and provided with the blue buff he will always be a huge deadly force, especially with his ultimate. He also has a good clearing speed and a good impact on team fights. The same goes for Akai, although he's not as dominant as he was before. He's still a great pick though because of his ultimate. Whenever you're fighting for the Lord, Akai can always use his ult to displace the enemy's jungler and secure the Lord for himself, which is a huge deal. Now Alice in the jungle will most definitely raise a lot of eyebrows. But again, we take a look at her kit. She's a scaling mage who can dive into the enemy's backline and has the potential to win a 1v5 fight in the late game. High sustain paired with a good clearing speed, decent mobility to rotate, and good teamfight abilities. The blue buff make her even more deadly, as she can terrorize the enemies non-stop. Now tell me in the comments which heroes I should cover in detail after the next patch, and watch this video where I explain the minimap secrets the pros use. See you over there!